Good morning. So me and the goat were about ready to play some golf while the kids were asleep. Before a lot of you woke up, I thought I'd share with you kind of the big picture of Constant Canopy. Kind of take my time. So if you like this, you can kind of I can just kind of go through the whole thing. So I want to start with the outliner is that ag has a huge distribution problem. Not only has our system or government steered us towards just corn and beans way too much than we can really consume, and we've been fighting to develop markets, whether it's the ethanol industry. When that is a little shaky, we really got to worry about the viability of having 90 million acres of one thing, but I digress. So another big problem is what's happened in the livestock industry. And what's unique about the livestock industry is every operation is going to be completely different. And what's happened is we've made these areas where we have extreme high density. And as we get into Ohio, it started in the 60s and 70s. And as these confined feeding operations have kind of moved out my way, we were one of the first ones in 1997 to build. As we went from 1 barn to 4, it's changed every year the value of our manure. And it kind of turns into snow to an Eskimo, if you will. Now, if you're out here and you have a new barn, it's great because you're building up your soil. So what's happened is not only are these counties really not allowing these barns to go up, it's steering it towards these barns to make the problem worse. But we've got a big circle here in our area. You get up towards southern Minnesota, they're starting to have one. There's a couple of these throughout the nation. And basically what's happening is, best analogy is Animal House. The band just goes up to a brick wall. We're making all these crops for these barns, and we're just putting all these nutrients in the same spot. And it actually becomes toxic because as our phosphorus level rises, it ties up heavy metals in our soil. It makes our soil more acidic, so it acquires more lime, and it just loses its value. So what we're basically doing is we're getting a bigger gap in the actual value of manure and the value that farmer in that specific context in that operation is actually getting for this manure. So the best, comp, if you will, would be Airbnb and this sharing economy idea. And basically what they came in and said, okay, these hotels by the ocean are getting $500 a night. You got all these houses inside to have 3 extra bedrooms. There's this huge gap. Let's just make an app. And they found a way to help these people out. Now, it's been bad for people that invested in that, but that's the future, is just convenience and need. So we have all this carbon. What can we do with it? And it's a lot of nutrients. So this has been a 2.5 year project of research and meeting the people and all that stuff. But basically the process we're looking at here is that we build a central manure processing facility. And we source this manure from high density areas into that one center, and it goes into a digester. Now that digester will take the methane out of it. It'll clean it to pipeline spec, and we'll put natural gas, renewable natural gas, right in the pipeline, and that can be distributed out all throughout the country. California has the highest value for that right now, but a lot of big corporations like UPS are changing their fleet to be able to run off of natural gas, specifically renewable natural gas. There was an act about 2013 where these corporations had to check mark. So that's why you see Amazon buying wind farms and all that stuff. So we take that out, and out of that, we need to dewater it. So we're coming in about 92%. This comes in about 80%. We go through a dewatering system. We get potable water. We're looking into actually using that in-house in a grow house and have solar panels outside and be able to produce a lot of transplants and whatever for the region. But we'll also have a lot of nutrient-rich effluent. So a lot of your phosphorus, a lot of your nitrogen is in the organic form and it stays with the biochar over the end. But a lot of the potassium and nitrogen, the nitrate nitrogen, we can extract with this nutrient-rich effluent. We want to work with co-ops all in the area and store that. And we can mix that with spray when we apply things to the field and get that across infinite more acres. So we take that out of that, we get it down to about 68, 70%. And we have a process where we turn this all into biochar. So we get all the water out of it, we cook all the antibiotics out of it, all of a lot of these things that are undesirable in the manure. And we get this very dense biochar material that I have right here. So this is biochar right here. This was derived from a dairy in Ohio. So this is where the operations are the opportunities are just unlimited. The same problem that we're having with our high phosphorus is a huge advantage in the bioremediation space going to Detroit, Michigan or New Jersey, where there's all of this industry that's now gone. We have all these toxins polluting our ground supply. Those phosphorus, the organic phosphorus and the carbon team up to take in these metals and really clean up those areas and replace excavation costs of removing all this dirt. Then what do you do with it? So this biochar will take all this stuff in, lock it away. So you've got that opportunity. I got to follow my lines here. So we can take that same biochar and use it in regional grow houses. We can change our potting mixes to where instead of it being dependable on a drip on commercial fertilizer, we can charge this biochar several different ways. We can put it in livestock buildings like we're doing research here. This is to make these air purifications. So we can put this biochar into barns and keep the ammonium and sulfate from escaping the atmosphere. And what's amazing about this thing, this biochar, it has tremendous ability to store things because it's got so much carbon. So we can charge it and we can mix it with soil and we can make the super soil. So not only can we put it in grow houses, but we can put it in a strip till machine, and through years we can move it throughout the field inch by inch by inch and really change the soil, and we can charge it with nitrogen. So we can coat urea, we can coat fertilizers, and perform so much better than products like ESN. So instead of it being like a dog on a leash, if you will, and it's just holding it back for a month and then releasing, it has to be accessed by soil microbiology to be able to access those nutrients. So I think we can make a product through polymer and coating that's going to last the whole year. So just think about how much, not only is it going to help our soil, our environmental impacts, but the time that you're spending in the field spoon feeding your crop. I think we can do a lot of things there. So there's tons of consumer products, just taking the smell out, quite frankly, and a lot of other things. Brito water filters are just basically biochar. And then I'd really like to get into specialty crops, cropping systems. I think we can do so much when we think the big picture of sunlight and water and growing multiple entities in a crop. That research I'm doing with the corn and soybeans, we can take, imagine a corn seed that's coated with charged biochar. So not only biochar, but nutrients in the biochar, and we put it on a seed. So when we do multiple crops, we can put energy on the seeds that need nitrogen to just give it a competitive advantage so it can come up and grab more sunlight and then live off of a legume cover crop or cash crop or both of anything. But we can take a lot of that liquid fertilizer off the planters. The opportunities, I could make this periscope on days and days, and that's what's really exciting. My mind is just exercised to the max right now of all the things we can do with it. But it all comes down to is we have a tremendous value in this stuff, and this is all the opportunity in America anymore is distribution and closing gaps, and that's what we're going to work on. So if this is of interest with you, direct message me if you want to get involved in some fashion with this. We'd love to talk to you. All right.